principal here at Kings Mountain High School. Welcome to Kings Mountain High School. Many of you may think that we do this often. This is one of the rare occasions that we will pull all of the freshmen together to talk about something. And that's because we want to set our expectations for this upcoming year so that you'll understand what we expect from you. And you'll be able to meet the administration and know if you have questions or concerns who you can go to. Many of you were in here and saw this little presentation with the data from last year. And probably what stood out to you is, wow, Kings Mountain High School has top results. And we want you to, you don't have anything to do with any of that yet. You did not contribute to that great data yet, but you will. That's the type of teachers you have. You have teachers that are prepared and that will prepare you if you work hard. I don't know what you did last year. You may have been the best student at the middle school. You may have been the worst student at the middle school. You may have received more discipline than anybody, or you may have never been to the office. You may have had the best grades. You may have had the worst grades. You know what? That does not matter at this point. Everybody is at a fresh start, and you get to decide about your future starting yesterday and today. Okay, so if you don't like where you were, you can do something about it starting this year, and that's what we want. We want success for you in so many different ways. If I can get my presentation to come back up. Renaissance cards. Many of you probably have never heard of this program, and right now none of you are participating in it. You'll hear us make announcements about Renaissance cards get to do this or Renaissance cards get to do that. You will work this semester to attain this, to work to become a Renaissance card holder. Some of you have older brothers and sisters who came and picked out their locker this summer. That's because they were a gold Renaissance card. Some of you will get to see students, juniors and seniors, that can leave during Smart Lunch. That's because they're a Renaissance card. We will have ice cream from Swigger's one day during lunch. Renaissance cards. This is how you obtain that. If you have a 4.0, then you will be a gold card holder. If you have a 3.5 to a 3.99, you'll be a silver card. And if you have a 3.0 to a 3.49, you'll have a bronze card. If you have any suspension, or if you make an F or an FF, that makes you ineligible for a Renaissance card. And like I said, we're all starting new, so we all can attain this. In addition to that, you get to leave early for lunch on certain days. But you have to have your card. Today during lunch, you're going to see students coming up to pick up their card because it's based on the previous semester. So from what you do now until January when we have exams, at the end of that time, the GPA that you attain will make you eligible or ineligible, okay, for a Renaissance card. So start today. Make sure you do all your work, make good grades so you're eligible for that. Also, as I mentioned before, you have nothing going on before you got here that will keep you from getting into an honor society or out of an honor society. But that starts right now, okay? If you're interested in being in the National Honor Society, the Beta Club, those things, all of that information is listed in your agenda book, and you can read about it and learn how you can earn that particular possibility of participating in that organization. Signing in and out of school. Anytime you're late to school, I know at the middle school, a parent had to get out and come in with you. We don't require that here, but you will need a note if you want it marked excused. If it is not excused, it'll be a tardy, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Once you are on our school property, let's say, for example, you ride with your brother, and you drive up to school, and you're like, oh gosh, I forgot my laptop at home. And your brother's like, okay, we'll leave. If you leave the school property without signing out, you will be counted skipping, and you will be suspended from school. Let's say that happens, the proper thing to do is to get out of the car, come up to the office and sign out. Even though school hasn't officially started, it is the school day and you've been on school campus, so do not leave without permission. Always make sure that you follow those procedures of signing in or out. Let's say you need to go to the doctor or something. If you'll bring a note from your parents and bring it to the front office, they can make those arrangements so that when it's time for you to leave, you can do that and have a note. As you'll notice here, these young people are not meeting dress code. Do you know what's wrong? Can you pick out what's wrong in each picture? See the girl with the jeans on? She's got holes in her pants that are above. If you put your hand down, this is how we check to see if your shorts are too short, or if your skirt's too short, or if you have holes in your pants. Put your hand down by your side, see what I'm doing? And it needs to be 1 inch below your fingertips. That's how you check. If your shorts are above your fingertips, and you can see there the girl with the shorts on, I think she's holding her laptop case. Notice her shorts are too short because they're not 1 inch below her fingertips. The young man, he's got on a tank top. That's not appropriate. The young lady, oh my. You want me to tell you how to check your shirt for that? Take your hand, put your fingers together, put your pointer finger on your clavicle. That's that bone that sticks out there. Hold your elbow up. And if you can see, if you see any skin under your fingers, your shirt's too short. No, too short, because you can see skin. So be mindful of that. The young lady that's got the top that's off her shoulders, you have to have something on your shoulders. If you wear a shirt, it has to be at least 3 fingertips wide on your shoulders, okay? You also can't have hats or sunglasses. If you bring those to school, you do need to put them in your locker. If you do not meet dress code, and sometimes, like for example, you may have a shirt that's too low, and so you grab it and you pull it back. You say, okay, I meet it now. Once you don't meet dress code, you don't meet dress code. Just like if you've got shorts and you've got them all rolled up and they're too short, and you're like, okay, I'll fix them, I'll roll them back down. That doesn't work. Once you don't meet dress code, you have to adjust to meet dress code. If you, and you'll have to go to the AR to do that. We have T-shirts that we can help with that, and the first time she will help you with that, and it'll be a warning. The second time you can see the consequences, the third time, and that sort of thing. Please don't be caught in that. No one here wants to come up to you and say, you don't meet dress code. Nobody wants to, but we will. And so don't be offended. If you don't want anybody to say anything to you about what you have on, then dress appropriately and meet these requirements. You can't wear hats. If you wear like a headband, it has to be the width of the headband. It can't cover your whole head, and you can only wear those if you're holding your hair up or away from your scalp, that sort of thing. Our attendance policy is different than the middle school because we do period attendance. Like for example, you could have 2 absences in first period and 10 absences in fourth period if you sign out a lot. If you have more than 6 absences in any class semester, or 12 absences in a year-long class, those of you that have 5th or 6th period, you will be required to apply for a waiver. A waiver means that your information will go before a committee. And let's say you have 10 unexcused absences. you're probably not going to get your waiver. You could have an A in the class and get an FF, which means you don't get credit for the class. Wouldn't that be awful? But that happens because you've missed too much school. If you're ever not in school, that should be for an excused reason, and you should bring a note from your parents. And it's your responsibility to ask your parents. You know if you weren't at school, and you need to ask your parents. Bring the note and turn it into the front office. Because when it gets to the end of the time and you're like, oh, I was sick all those days, the committee is already met. And if you don't have doctor's documentation at that point, you will not get your waiver. And that happens to freshmen every year because they just think it doesn't matter. It does matter. Make sure that you do that. Also, tardies count toward absences. Make sure you get to class on time. I know some of you have been a little stressed because that locker's not working exactly right, but we do need to work on that. We're giving nobody's got any tardies yet, but starting on Wednesday, we'll start following these policies. Here is our Miss Ramsey's going to talk to you now. Miss Ramsey has joined us this year. She's our assistant principal over discipline, and she's going to share some information with you.
I'm going to talk about the tardy policy. It's new this year, and you didn't know the policy last year, so this will be your tardy policy. Students that choose to be late for class will receive the following consequences, and this is if you choose not to be late for class, you're just running late, you're still going to be tardy, okay? And that starts Wednesday. For your first tardy, it's a warning. For your second tardy, it's also a warning, and your classroom teacher will contact your parent and let them know that you're coming late to class and see if we can see what's going on. Your third tardy, you're going to receive an unexcused absence. So that the absences that Ms. Riker was talking about can add up if you're tardy, and you might have to get a waiver because of tardies. We don't want to do that. Your fourth, fifth, and sixth tardy, you'll have a 1 hour Friday after school detention, and your parents will be contacted. For your seventh tardy, that's a 1-day ISS, and you don't want to be out of class. You've got to be in class to learn, so we don't want to get there. Eighth tardy is 2 days ISS. Your ninth tardy is 1 day of out-of-school suspension, so please get to class on time. Each tardy after the ninth will result in a day of out-of-school suspension. Okay. Flowers, balloons, and food. You cannot have flowers, balloons, or food delivered to school, okay? So if you don't like what's in the cafeteria and you somehow text mom, bring me some McDonald's, it's not going to get in. The ladies at the front office are going to smell McDonald's. They're going to tell your parents to take it back. You cannot have food delivered to the school, or balloons, or anything else. Save that for home. Your lunch expectations. And these are in place right now, even before Smart Lunch, but your teachers will tell you, I think on Thursday, about Smart Lunch. Do not go to any unauthorized areas during lunch, and that means stay in the lunchroom or in the commons area. You can't go back to your locker, you can't do any of those things right now, you need to stay in the lunchroom. Keep the school cafeteria, commons area clean, throw away your trash. Throw away all trays, plates, and trash, no breaking in line. Do not exit back through the line. So when you get your lunch and you forgot something, don't go back through the line. You have to go all the way back around. Go to the assigned Smart Lunch tutorials, which your teachers will talk to you about. If these expectations are not met, this could result in the loss of Smart Lunch. But you haven't had it yet, but you don't want to lose it when you get it. Medications at school. No student is allowed to carry any types of medication with him or her during the school day except for emergency medications. And those are things like inhalers, EpiPens, diabetic supplies, and those things that you will have a doctor's order for. If you have a headache, you cannot have Tylenol in your pocketbook and take it. You will get in trouble. Every medication that comes through school must have a doctor's note. Okay? And these steps must be followed. Secure the necessary forms in the office. This is how you can get, if you need one of these things, this is how you can get it. Get the necessary forms in the office, have the doctor fill out the forms completely. The form must be signed by a parent authorizing us to give you the medicine. And the medication is to be brought to the high school by a parent. You can't transport that medication, no matter if it's inhaler or something that you need. It has to be transported by a parent in the original unopened pharmacy container and delivered directly to the office. So you can't put Tylenol in a bag and bring it to school. You're gonna get in trouble, okay? Locker security. We have 3 rules about locker, 3 main rules. Number 1, you have to have a locker. Okay, you're like, I don't need a locker. You have to have a locker. You have to have a lock on your locker, and it has to be locked. Those are the rules about a locker, okay? You have to have one, it has to have a lock, and it has to be locked. Do not share lockers with any other students. You will be held responsible if something happens to something in your locker. If there's something in there that's not supposed to be in there, and it doesn't belong to you, you're gonna get in trouble because the locker belongs to you. Be sure to lock up all valuables while you're in PE as well. And this is a form, this is academic dishonesty cheating report form. This happens anytime that you cheat, okay? And you make a bad decision about academics, cheating, those types of things. This will stay on your permanent record through high school, okay? This is something that you don't want on there. Colleges don't want to see this, so let's avoid cheating, okay? I think next is Mr. Fleischer. Dr. Tipton.
Good morning. My name is Matt Tipton. This will be my 4th year here at Kings Mountain High School. I previously served 3 years in Ms. Ramsey's role. I'm taking Dr. Moorhead's role in curriculum and instruction. As I listen to Ms. Riker present the data, the test scores, first and foremost, a part of that is you're brand new. And as you start this endeavor and this process, understand your teachers they're going to have expectations. We're going to have expectations. Part of these expectations is for you to buy into what we addressed this morning, and also understand we're here to support you. As you understand, you have to embrace these expectations to be successful. And next year, you will see your test scores. The freshman group, you'll see your contribution, even after this fall, to the success of Kings Mountain. Book bags, ladies especially, the book bags that you carry on your back. It looks like a string bag, but it's like a small one. You can say, well, it's a purse, Mr. Tipton. No, if you're carrying it like a book bag, then you're breaking the rules, okay? If you're carrying a string bag, you're breaking the rules. Book bags are to be left in your locker. This is not to be mean, this is for safety. How many of you, just show of hands, how many of you felt overwhelmed in the hallways yesterday? It's crowded, it's crowded. On top of that, you put your hands down. On top of that, imagine if everyone carried their book bags, their coach, their sports stuff with them. It makes it more congested. So understand it's about safety and to help you get from class to class. So as you move through the day, remember, you time yourself if you have stuff in your locker. Okay, take responsibility. String bags are considered book bags. You should not, if you have welding, you should not be taking string bags, book bags across. The only students that can take a string bag would be going from their locker to weightlifting. Their locker to weightlifting. You see the pictures, the KAVU bags. Yes, my daughter has one. That's a trend right now. Most females either have the small string purse-looking book bag or KAVU. Those need to be put in your locker. Okay, so when you go home or you get a book bag violation and you have a detention and mom's upset, we're going over it with you right now. For your safety, it needs to be put up. So you will continue to face disciplinary action. It will start with after-school detention and eventually ISS, and if you choose to be that insubordinate, OSS. Okay, so make sure book bags are put up. Yes, I know this morning some of you still getting the lockers situated, but they need to be put in your locker at all times. And unfortunately, sharing lockers, I think Mr. Fleischer will get to that later, but be very, very understandable that you need to take care of your business and put in your locker. Entering and leaving. Some of you saw me in the comments this morning and you were trying to book it to get to your locker. Okay, you got off, you were coming in, you were wanting to go to your locker and get to class on time. And I told you when the bell rings at 7:42. So if you're a car rider and you're hanging out down there in the drop-off area, when the bell rings, you can go into the school building. Those who ride a bus or come up through the front of the school that gets dropped off to eat breakfast, you'll see me in the mornings. Make sure I'm not going to let you go to your locker. So you go in the cafeteria, hang out. When the bell rings, then you can report to your locker. Okay? But that was good. Some of you were ready to go to your locker, trying to get that thing figured out and get to class. Students must leave the building by 3:20, and then the premises by 3:30. Okay? So unless you're playing, you're on the football team, you're in the band, at a club meeting, you need to be off campus by 3:30. Okay? Be mindful of that. We've had issues with this. No one can be dropped off or picked up in the front of the school during normal drop-off hours and pick up traffic times. Okay? Understand this, please. It's for your safety. So if your parent is dropping you off in the student parking lot and Coach Cruz or Coach Bridges is letting them have it, well, they didn't follow our rules, and that's about your safety. Okay? So be mindful. This is very important. It helps with the flow of traffic. Okay? No hanging out on the benches in front of the gym before or after school. Yes, sometimes kids will hang out due to if they're waiting on driver's ed or something of that nature, but be mindful, you're not just going to hang out to hang out. And you see the discipline at the bottom. There will be discipline put in place if you fail to do this. Unauthorized area, this is about safety too. A lot of times when a child is being disciplined and I call home and I say they've got ISS, OSS, they weren't where they were supposed to be, it's for your safety. I promise you, we want to make sure you're safe, okay? So if you're not supervised and you're in an area that you know you're not supposed to be in, you'll be disciplined, but it's for your safety, okay? We want to make sure you're taken care of. And you see the offenses that you would be subject to depending on your location. If you're shooting hoops, third period, you're supposed to be in art, we're going to go probably jump right to ISS, okay? So be mindful of where you're supposed to be. And that goes back to your safety. Alternative room, you need to listen very carefully to this. The teachers that are in here, your other teachers that are not in here, I'm here to tell you, there's going to be days where they may struggle, there's going to be days where you may struggle. But when a teacher tells you to go to the alternative room and you choose not to, that's bad. Whether you agree with the teacher or not, go to the alternative room, okay? This sounds very negative right now, but it's important for you to remember. Sometimes you've had a bad day, and sometimes that teacher says, I'm going to cut you a break, you go to the alternative room, okay? And you will chill out in there and do work until that class period is over, okay? So be mindful. Now, you can't just go up to Miss Campbell and say, hey, I need to go to the alternative room. No. Guess what happens if you get to choose that route? More discipline, okay? We want you in class. But there may be days where you're frustrated, okay? But you're not going to interrupt the learning environment. So remember, the alternative room is outside the office. And each semester, Miss Campbell sends you, Mr. Tipton sends you, Mr. Fleischer sends you. If you get sent 3 or 4 times in one day, you get that 6th visit, and there's still 8 weeks left of the semester, you see where you're headed, okay? And there's no problem calling home on the 7th, 8th, and 10th, and 15th, okay? So use those wisely. This is something, understand, if you have a bad day, you have a bad day, okay? But don't come in the office and say, I didn't agree with that, she shouldn't send me, or I'm going home. Guess what? If you go on your own, you get to visit, you get more discipline on top of that, okay? But you see how it compiles, okay? So be mindful. This is to help you, and I'm sure those of you know students who you're like, wow, I'm glad that student's gone for today because they were disrupting the learning environment, okay? So this is important. This is an important discipline piece of our school for your teachers each and every day. So the 7th and beyond, out of school, and this is happening. Okay, you're new to our school. This is important. Okay, just to be honest, you don't choose to go there. Okay, fighting. That's going to be a case-by-case basis, or about safety. And unfortunately, depending on how severe the fight you get involved in, you see the discipline right here. Unfortunately, you're like, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. Okay. If you continue to show out, you see what will happen. Okay. We want you to be safe. I would not want to see Officer Mickelson have to put you in cuffs. Okay. Just to be upfront with you. Okay. And you see what will happen if you continue to be a disruption with that type of behavior. And please understand, there's counselors. All of us are here to help. So social media, Johnny says he doesn't like you. You think you're going to take it up with yourself. Many of you don't know us. There's other kids that go to school here. They will talk to people. And it's easy to work it out before versus after you act on something that could be very well a rumor. Use of tobacco, e-cig, with this one right here. E-vapes, we treat it the same as tobacco. Okay? You're vaping, you're going home a couple of days. Okay? Honesty is the best policy. You wake up one morning, you're rushing to school, and you're like, oh, I've got my vape on me now. I'm not promoting it. Just like if someone had tobacco. And it's 8:15, you say, I got to go see one of the administrators. Honesty is the best policy. We can work that out. But if you're carrying that around and then you wait till lunchtime, that's a different story. Okay? So be mindful of tobacco, e-cigs, those things. You see the discipline right there with those offenses. And I'm going to let Mr. Fleischer take over with that.
Morning. Some of you already had a chance to meet me. My name is John Fleischer. Deal with facilities and buses and smart lunch detention. So some of you don't know me yet. Unfortunately, you'll get to know me if you don't go to your assigned tutorial. You got to get your 2 stamps in a week. You'll hear more about that Thursday. But you got to get your 2 stamps in a 2-week period, and they check that. If you don't go to the assigned tutorial or you don't get your 2 stamps, your teacher's going to turn you in, and I'm going to give you smart lunch detention. Skip the smart lunch detention, get after school detention. Skip the after school detention, starts to build. And it goes to ISS and all that kind of stuff. And as we trace that trail back, parents want to know why you're in ISS, and it's a result you didn't go to tutorial, which was there designed to help you out, to be successful, all that stuff that Ms. Riker talked about. And I just want to say, before I get to that, if you come to if the teacher turns your name in for skipping a tutorial, you're leaving my office with a lunch detention. But I was there, she missed this, or they said this. If the teacher gives me your name, you're leaving my office with a lunch detention. I may say to you, if there's a mistake, you go to the teacher, talk to the teacher emails me, I'll delete it. But I'm going to put that back on you to go figure that part out and get it corrected. So if you know you're supposed to be somewhere and you don't go, I promise you they're pretty good about turning them in, and I'm pretty good about signing them. So make sure you take care of that business. Theft, and this kind of goes to the locker situation a little bit. If you take something in and it's not yours, it's theft. If I found it laying on the ground, or that chicken sandwich just happened to be sitting there with my name on it, if you take something and it's not yours, you're going to be disciplined for that. Okay, so don't take something in the cafeteria. We have cameras everywhere. If you're sharing a locker, something gets missing, that causes problems. I didn't know this, I didn't know that. So don't share lockers, because that can lead to some issues with theft and the tobacco and some drugs and stuff we're going to talk about here in a minute. But don't take it. You're going to be suspended if you're caught stealing. Well, I didn't know it wasn't my laptop. When you open that laptop, it's not going to be your sign-in information. You turn that in. You've lost yours. You're going to borrow someone else's. Don't do that, okay? I want to say something about the fighting, too. We treat that very seriously. Don't be an instigator of a fight. Don't contribute to that fight. Don't egg on someone to go fight. Those people have been suspended as well. And I believe Mr. Tipton mentioned that social media piece. That's probably our biggest issue drama that starts on social media. Drugs and alcohol, I think that goes without saying. Again, it's about safety. We're not going to have drugs or alcohol here. If you do, you're going to be suspended. You're going to be suspended. You know, in some cases, it could be 5 days, but usually it's 10. And if it's serious, if you're distributing, you just may go into jail and never come back. But you know, if there's multiple offenses, you won't be back. And again, as Mr. Tipton mentioned, the culture of our school is such that people let us know. They want a safe school. We are a safe school. We're a very high-performing school, and that's part of it. We'll get calls from parents. We'll get calls from anonymous people, and we check them out. So, you know, please take care of business there. Again, weapons, I think that goes without saying. You know, like Mr. Tipton said, every once in a while we have some students that they may have an after-school job or even a before-school job. They have to go take care of animals on the farm. When he shows up, oh no, forgot. Come straight to the office, let us know, hey, I have this in my vehicle, or I have this here, and we can talk about what the appropriate measures are. Maybe it's discipline, maybe it's not. But honesty, come to us. If we discover something, we're going to deal with it. And again, obviously in this day and age, we take that very, very seriously. We get reports of potential weapons on campus, as you can imagine. Okay, cell phone policy. Again, you know, don't let this cause you some hardship, because plain and simple, if you have your phone and you're using your phone, your teacher's going to ask for the phone. You refuse to give the teacher the phone, or you're going to get a day of OSS. We're going to ask for the phone. You refuse to give it to us, you're going to get 2 more days of OSS. Don't do that. That will keep you from honor societies. That will keep you from your Renaissance rewards. Okay? Now you have your phone. You're using your phone. Teacher asks for the phone. You give it up. You get your detention after school. We move on. But we are keeping it until 3:09 the next day. Okay? We will do that. Those are not fun conversations with you and or parents, but we are going to keep that phone until 3:09 the next day, because I just kept somebody else's phone yesterday, and if I don't keep your phone, those people are going to be hopping mad. So think about this now. Listen very carefully. It's Friday. Not yet, but on Friday, it's second period, and you've got that phone out, and Mom texted me, but I just have to respond real quick. No. The teacher asks for your phone, and you're a good kid, you give it up, and all. We're keeping it till Monday. And next Monday is Labor Day, so we're keeping it till Tuesday this weekend. Fast forward to November, Thanksgiving break. Tuesday, keeping that phone until we get back Monday after Thanksgiving. Don't suck your teeth, that's going to happen. Christmas, Easter, we're keeping that phone until the next school day. And so when Mama gets mad or Daddy gets mad, we're going to tell them, we had this talk today, and I've spent probably extra time on that piece. Please, please, please.